I was a guide for 11 years, spent a lot of time thinking about the fish and what happens to them after we release them. Yeah, I think they're out here.
Let them know we got one in the bag.
As salmon anglers, it's, you have an inherent respect for the fish already. And so to be going out and using behaviors that you know is damaging those fish, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot.
We're looking at things that the recreational fishery might be able to change or modify to improve the survival of any fish that might be released.
Many of the sort of fisherman lore around how to protect fish in a way has actually been sort of proven out in the data. There's a significant impact on their survivability as soon as they start interacting with anything other than water.
So we're coming out to our spots. Once we hook into a fish and bring it to the surface and identify it as a coho, that's a fish that we'll scoop in our landing net and then bring on board. Once that fish is on board, we do some sampling and assessing the injuries that happen to the fish.
Fins are all good, scales are good. Yeah, no line wrap, nothing, really nice.
We look at the hook wound, whether the eyes were damaged, looking at the body of the fish, did it lose scales, did it have fins that were damaged? I'm also getting a sample of the mucus layer that's covering the fish. Once that's done, I'll put in what's called a pit tag, and that gives a specific code to that fish so that we can identify which one was which and link that back to what happened to the fish when we caught it. And that fish is transported from our tank on the boat into those big red tanks that are over on the shore. So obviously when you're hooking the fish and bringing it on board, there's going to be hooking injuries and potential damage to the eyes or to their scales or some bleeding.
In the real world, if you're measuring, you'll release that fish and it may look good. After the fact, actually, you do end up seeing some sort of further degradation and further loss of scales. Never really thought that was going to be an issue, but now with having them in the tank, you can see that even as little as 10 or 15 minutes later.
One of the things about this study is we held fish for 14 days. While there's been previous studies that have looked at some of this in the past, most of them stopped at the 3-day mark. And we found that so many of these things that we're talking about are delayed effects. By day 5 and day 6, that tail grab, you started to see a handprint, hook wounds and other things started to grow in severity. We've learned an awful lot because of being able to hold the fish as long as we did.
We put 123 coho into tanks last year, and of all the fish that we put into the tanks, if a fish wasn't landed in a net or didn't have a line wrap injury, it survived perfectly well throughout the hold.
Those untouched, unnetted, no line interaction fish were just like shockingly good throughout the entire study period. That shows, if you do the right thing, then those fish can have a really positive outcome. Some of them need to be handled to some degree, but if we can limit that, then it's a positive and happy result.